Colin Hiles here, aka the Mindset Guy, with part 2 of this video series on how to lose fat and how to do it the easy way. Now, if you haven't watched video number 1, please stop this video and go and watch that video now. There'll be a link below for you to be able to do that. If you do that, this video will make more sense. Alright, so just stop the video now, go and watch video number 1. Now, if you're still here, I'm presupposing you watched video number 1, and so I want to build on that video today, looking at diet and also looking at exercise. But before we do, let me just summarize what we covered last time. So there's 2 main approaches to getting ourselves into shape, losing weight and losing body fat. There's the approach which I call the full-on approach, and that's where we, full-on assault up the mountain, and that's about getting there fast. And then there's the easy approach, a sort of a saunter up the mountain, barely noticing the gradient until eventually we get up to the top. So there's always this fast and easy. The subconscious mind wants fast, also wants easy. However, easy always wins over fast. Marketers will market around fast, but the subconscious mind prefers easy. It always wants the path of least resistance. It wants to stay within its comfort zone. So this is why, for instance, it's easier to go and buy a junk meal than it is to cook, a meal using fresh ingredients. It's always easier to sit in front of the TV than it is to go and exercise. So we'll always choose the easy option. And when we use the tiny gains approach, we are, if you like, aligning ourselves to that fact and making it easy to take the actions that we need to take, because we're not firing off the alarm bells called the amygdala that causes us to experience fear. So these 3 levels that we talked about in the last video around the brain. Okay, the neocortex, the mammalian, the emotional brain, and fight, flight. We don't want fight, flight, or freeze. We don't want fear. Fear equals failure, more often than not. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we've got all 3 brains working. So now I'd like to show you how I applied the tiny gains approach get myself from 20 down to 12% body fat and maintain it now. I've got the habits in place now. I feel really confident that I can keep my weight and shape where it is. I don't have an intent of making or losing any more fat, as I said in the last video. Now, the first thing, probably 2 things. First thing is, I talked about this in my confidence video, PMA. Right? Keep this in mind. Every day is a PMA day. Now, it doesn't stand for positive mental attitude. It stands for physical, measurable, and achievable. See, every day we want to do those 3 things. We want to do something physical, take action. We want to make sure that the actions we take are measurable and as best we can, and we also want to make sure that they're achievable. So this is why I said the golden rule with the tiny gains approach is if you're not getting to it, make the action even smaller. So we want to make it achievable. Those 3 things are really important. Secondly, preparation, preparation, preparation. It's been my biggest learn. When I have fallen off the wagon, it's because I wasn't prepared. So preparation is really important. And when you apply what I'm about to share, you'll find you'll be better prepared. That's what I find. I'm better prepared so that the old habit, it's harder to do the old habit and easy to do the new habit. And once that new habit becomes ingrained, it becomes in the way you do things. So let's jump straight in then. First model we've got here. Sort of map this out here. As you know, I like things very visual, makes more sense for me. So here we have tiny gains approach. This line represents calories. This line represents movement. So my weight and shape was down to my habits around calorie intake and also movement. If I kept doing the same thing, I would stay at the same weight and shape, same level of fat, right? Of course, if I increased, then I'm going to put more weight on and decrease my movement and increase my calories. I'm going to put more weight on and have more body fat. Now, that's not the goal. The goal is to do the opposite, right? What we want to do is we want to decrease the amount of calories we have and we want to increase the amount of movement we have. This represents, month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5, month 6, however many months. Remember, there's no date when we have the tiny gains approach. The focus goes from the outcome to what we do every single day. Getting the process right means that we'll get the outcome that we're looking for. That will happen naturally. That's been my experience. So our goal is to just lower the amount, decrease the amount of calories. If we go into a calorie deficient mode, we'll lose fat, we'll lose weight, okay? If we increase our movement, then we will begin to change the way our body metabolizes. It does that with diet anyway, but it increases it. We get this afterburn effect that I'm going to talk about, which is fantastic. So we're looking to increase here. Now calories, obviously, when we talk about calories, 2,000 calories of crisps and cookies and cakes is very different, obviously, to 2,000 calories of vegetables and protein and essential fats. Okay, so it's not so much about calories; it's about what type of calories that we are taking on board. So we don't get too confused about that. But to begin with, I didn't even count calories. I didn't even look at. I do now. I understand a lot more about it now for sure. And you will gain more and more knowledge as you go down this track. That's what I've found. There's a lot of conflicting information out there, though. I've also found that as well. But what all I did basically is kept it very simple. I knew that I needed to decrease the amount of calories and I needed to increase the amount of movement. I needed to make sure that the calories that I were taking on board were better calories than not. Now, a bit of background on Colin Hiles. Before I started this, I have a very, very sweet tooth. 2 sugars in my tea. I love cakes, I love biscuits, I love desserts and puddings. I love carbohydrate type foods. Sugar, I love sugar. Okay, so I started from some pretty bad habits. Not only that, because I am a trainer that travels around the world working with lots of clients, I get to stay in some of the nicest hotels. When you think about, you wake up in the morning and you go down to the restaurant, look what you can have for breakfast. And then when I'm delivering the day, look at the tea breaks. 2 tea breaks, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Typically cakes, muffins, biscuits, whatever you want, it's there. So the opportunity to cheat is very, very high in the environment that I'm in. Now, if I'm at home, like where I am now, I'm much more in control. I know what's in the cupboard, I know what I can eat. But a lot of my time, 80% of my time, that's not the case. I can't control the environment, so I have to have a lot more self-discipline. And what I found with the Tiny Gains approach is you don't need so much discipline. You just need to be prepared with a little bit of knowledge. So let's jump straight in then to diet. 3 things on diet. I want to give you 3 things on diet. First thing, what I did was I had what I call the 5 and 2 diet. Now this isn't the fasting diet you'll see out there. I looked at that, and the fasting diet will give you a fast result, but I wasn't interested in a fast result. I wanted easy. So what this represents for me is 5 days of focus, 2 days of freedom. Now I don't like to use cheat. Some say these are 2 cheat days. Cheat days means you can eat whatever. I didn't like that word cheat because I'm not cheating. I'm not cheating at all. It's part of the plan. What I'm doing is I'm freeing myself up a little bit. So during the week, Monday to Friday, I absolutely focus on eating the right type of foods to make sure that I'm minimizing or calorie deficient, and then when it gets to the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, free to eat what I want. So I'd eat typically more carbohydrates. I might have a biscuit, I might have a cookie, or I might have a muffin, or I might have a cake when I go out with my wife tour. So for coffee. So 5 and 2. And what this did for us first and foremost was it just made it nice and easy. It's nice and simple. During the week, I stay nice and focused. Over the weekend, I'm pretty free. Now, even though you've seen my timeline for the weight loss, we were on holidays. My wife and I went over to Los Angeles. As soon as I go on holiday and as soon as I go to Los Angeles, I see them as free. I don't really focus too much, but something interesting has happened. Since I started to ingrain the habits, I don't have the same sugar sort of cravings as I used to have. Small satisfies, whereas large used to satisfy me before. And this is why the habit part of the training is so important. Once you've got the habits will sustain you. So even though I could have whatever I wanted, I didn't necessarily have it because I didn't feel like I needed it. Big difference, which has been fantastic. So the 5 and 2. Now, when in order to get me through this initial stage of 5 and 2, what I did was I set up a little reward system for myself. So during the week, what I would do is, overnight, I love my cup of tea. Before I go to bed, anyone knows me know, I love my cup of tea. So I set up this little reward system that if I stayed focused through the day, and ate what was right for me to eat, and I'll talk about what that was in a moment, then what I do is I give myself a little tiny or 2 chunks of dark chocolate, 70% cocoa chocolate. This is blacks, green blacks, which is what I like. Okay. Now, when I first started, I didn't actually like dark chocolate very much, but you see, the other type of chocolate typically is a lot worse for you than dark chocolate. Now, I found out a few things about dark chocolate, which is really cool. So it contains theobromine, and theobromine is fantastic. Firstly, it's an appetite suppressant. So by eating it, I don't feel the need for the sugary things, which is a really interesting one. Secondly, theobromine has been found to mobilize the fatty acids from the cells into the bloodstream so that they're burned as energy. A bit like caffeine, but without the sort of jitters. So it has 2 big pluses in itself. So 2 little chunks of dark chocolate at the end of the day with my cup of tea, really savor them, really enjoy them, and that's about 70 calories, something like that, for 2 little chunks. Now, of course, 2 little chunks isn't like eating half a bar. It does have fat and it does have sugar, so you can go over the top with it. But it's good to set up some little reward system with yourself. Something small, something that's good for you. I love chocolate, so now I have chocolate literally every single day at the end of the day. A weekend I'll typically eat 4 chunks rather than 2 chunks, but during the week it's just 2 chunks. Secondly, low carb diet. So during the week, Monday to Friday, I typically get myself on a low carb diet. I learned that from this book by Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Body, where he talks about a slow carb diet, and made a lot of sense to me, a lot of great results in there, so I thought I would give that a go. And basically what it means is that you adopt a sort of more a higher protein diet than you do carbohydrates. So during the week, Monday to Friday, typically I eat more protein. So if I'm with a client and it's lunchtime, I'll maybe have a piece of chicken and some salad, or I might have a piece of meat and some salad, or turkey and some salad. So I'm just looking to up my protein, and there's a lot of benefits to having more protein based on the way that the body metabolizes protein. It takes a bit more energy to metabolize it, so your metabolism goes up as a result of it. It also causes you to feel fuller, so you feel full for a long period of time. You don't get those hunger pains quite like you do when you have carbohydrates. So protein. Now, not only that, I then went out and started looking at protein shakes, and this has been my favourite so far. I tried a few, but this has been my favourite. This tastes delicious. A little after I started using this, Tim Ferriss actually recommended this one, so I thought, right, I'm on the right track. So it's very easy now to create a little protein meal for myself, and more often than not, this is my breakfast. So I'll give you my protein shake this morning that I had this morning, right? 2 scoops of this in almond milk, unsweetened almond milk. I then put in some cocoa powder, which is raw chocolate, just 1 spoonful. I then put in some peanut butter in there as well. I then put in a couple of frozen banana, chunks of frozen banana, and also, what else did I put in? I put in some ice. Hit that blender, it up, and then that creates a beautiful smoothie, and that's my breakfast. And that sustains me often till lunchtime. Often I don't need anything until lunchtime, but if I do, I'll tell you what I eat in a moment. So this has been fantastic, and I can create loads of different shakes with this. I'll spend too much time if I carry on with that. So protein, right? So more protein and low carb. On the weekend, I'll up my carbs. I'll have a pizza. I'll have the things that are, spaghetti bolognese. I'll have those things, but not during the week. During the week, I stay high protein. And when I started, all I started to do was look for ways to get more protein. So it was easy to get a protein breakfast in, even if I did everything else the same. See, a protein breakfast just changes if I was to have that high sugar, high carbohydrate breakfast, like might have been toast and jam, or it might have been a bagel and jam, or it might have been cereal, which is much more high. Just by swapping that out and swapping in the shake, I'm making a small change. That's all you're looking to do. You're not looking to change everything in one go. One small change. Compound. Right, let's move on. Low carb. Let's move on to this one here then. So this one here is reduced sugar. Now, this was a biggie for me because I know that I love sugar. I am a sugar addict. 2 sugars in my tea, for instance. So what I did was I started to, rather than have 2 sugars in my tea, I'd have 1.5. Now, just to show you, by taking half sugar out of my tea, 4 teas a day, sometimes I have more, very rarely have less, but 4 teas a day, this is a month, okay, a month of half a teaspoonful of sugar not going into my tea, into me, but into here. So when I talk about PMA, right, physical, measurable, achievable, it's very easy to just do 1.5 spoonfuls of sugar and then put the other half into here. Measurable, I can see that that's not gone inside me. Now, I no longer have sugar in my tea, but you see, if you're going at the fast approach, what would you do? You'd instantly take all the sugar out of your tea. Big change. The alarm bell goes off. Woo! Instant resistance. I don't like this. This is horrible. If you imagine making changes also to the way that you move, you can see why for most of us, when we go down this approach, we often hit failure, or we get the result and then we bounce straight back to where we was before we even started. Taking out half a teaspoon, beg your pardon, of sugar from every tea, very easy to do. So that's an example. Also, when I have my snacks, then when I'm working and they bring out the coffee and tea break, and there's all these cakes and muffins and cupcakes and stuff like that, what I now have with me always is these little critters, almonds. Always got a bag of almonds with me, and also these. These are called Bounce. Get these in London. They're little protein balls. So this one here, what has it got? I think it's 12 grams of protein in this as well. So I've always got these with me. I don't have these as much as I have these. These are sort of like, if I really, really am hungry and I need something, I'll eat a protein ball. But these are absolutely fantastic. Now with these, I have what I call my 20-minute rule. I read it somewhere, you may have read this, that when we eat, it takes 20 minutes for the brain to register that we're full up. So often we continue eating because that register I haven't. I don't know whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I've taken it as a little rule. So if I look at a cake and I want that cake, what I have to do first is just eat maybe 15 of these and then wait 20 minutes. Or eat my little protein ball and then wait 20 minutes. If at the end of 20 minutes I still want the cake, I'll eat it. You know what? I never do. The great thing about these little critters here is that they leave you feeling full. They have a lot of fibre in them and they leave you feeling full, even a few feeling full. They've also got some great ingredients in them. So you've got protein in these, you've got fibre in these, and protein and fibre, bulks you up. It gives you that feeling of being full. We've also got, vitamin E, zinc in here as well, which helps with the sugar cravings. So 15 to 20 of these, first coffee break and then second coffee break, or whenever I'm feeling a little bit hungry, typically does it for me. Remember, 20-minute rule, I don't typically want anything after that. So I've always got these with me. Remember, I said be prepared. Often if you don't have all those things, you've got nothing around you, it's easy to go for the cake, it's easy to go for the high sugar or the candy bar or the chocolate, really the thing that you shouldn't be having. Have these around, go for the 20-minute rule, you might find that you no longer need those. So there's my 3 top tips for diet. Now let's look at my 3 top tips for movement now, because what we're looking to do is we're looking to increase the amount of movement. Firstly, find natural ways to increase movement. If you don't like to exercise, remember what the book that I showed you, Kaizen, what Robert did. He just got the lady to march in front of the TV for a minute, right? Very, very easy to do. PMA, right? Physical, measurable, and achievable. Think of ways that you can get more movement into your day. So for instance, could you get off the tube early or the bus early if you get a bus or tube, or could you park the car a little bit further away from the office and walk a little bit? Now for me, when I'm in the tube, and going through the tube in London, what I'll do, I used to stand on the elevator and just let it take me up no longer. Now I step to the left-hand side and I'll walk up, because it's walking up more. So you're just looking for ways to get more movement into your day. Small amounts. So we don't do, we just want to increase, get more movement. So first challenge is, how can you do that? Where can you do that naturally? Often now I will stand when I'm in my office rather than sit in a chair. So I've created this sort of system where I can stand up and I can work, because it's helping me. I mean, sitting really isn't good for us anyway, and loads of great research on that, and a whole book on that, and sitting is killing us. But think of how you can get more movement. How can you get more movement? Secondly, I'm going to share with you now my secret trainer. So when I started looking at the types of exercise, I had a massive excuse. My excuse was I don't have time to get to the gym. And it was a brilliant excuse. You know that lovely saying, fat loves excuses. And that was my best one. I didn't get time to get to the gym. So what I started looking for is, how do I exercise and not need the gym? And I come across an individual called Craig Valentine. My ex-saviour, I must say. Because he, on his page, I'll put the link below, he on his page talks a lot about the difference between slow cardio versus high impact, and how slow cardio doesn't often get us the results we're looking for, whereas short, sharp, high impact does. So now what happens with my exercise is that I'll put on, Craig's created a whole load of videos which basically you just play. It's like home workouts, no equipment, or there are some exercises where you can use equipment, but the ones where no equipment, and I love his 2010s. 2010s is 20 seconds of full on, 10 seconds of rest. 20 seconds of full on, 10 seconds of rest. Now these exercises go from 4 minutes, and research has shown that 4 minutes, just 4 minutes of high intensity can be enough to get the metabolism going and start burning fat, right the way up to 20 minutes. So I can choose, depending on my day, what I do, and I'll do this at least 3 times a week. Sometimes a little bit more, but at least 3 times a week I'll do some exercise with Craig, and it's great. I just put on the video, he takes you through the exercises, he's doing them with you as well, so he's my little motivator, it gets me going. And it's easy. I mean, it's about the easiest that I've found, because I can just roll out of bed, do a few stretches, warm myself up and get them done. 4 minutes? No excuses. I mean, come on, 4 minutes. Who hasn't got 4 minutes? And that's what we do. We go, oh God, I've only got 20 minutes, time I get to the gym, and I haven't got time. I've got time for 4 minutes. 4 minutes every day. Imagine, 4 minutes every day. 4 minutes every day of movement, it's going to make a big, big difference. So you've got to think long term, not short term. You've got to think, if I did this every single day, what would it add up to? So I'll put the link below. I'll also put the link below for this as well, if you want to check out the protein drink as well. And then last but not least, this is going to become another long video, I found that it's really important that you plan when you're going to exercise. So for me, I like to do it first thing in the morning. That's not everyone's preference. I like to do it after work, but I like to do it first thing. I like to get out of bed, do a few stretches, and go and do my 4 minutes to 20 minutes of exercise. Done. I know then that I've got this afterburn effect, and it's done. I feel good as I'm walking then down to work with the clients that I work with, or if I'm here, and everyone then comes down. So I get up for it, when the boys come down and the tour comes down, it's all done. I've done my exercises. So you've really got to think about your week, and you've got to plan when you're going to do it. And then you've got to make it easy to do it. So get your equipment ready, i.e. your shoes and your shorts and your top. Get it all ready so that when it comes to the time, it's easy to do. So there we are, right? I've given you 3 top tips here, 3 top tips here. The tiny gains approach, the easiest approach to getting the result, making small changes every single day bypasses our natural resistance. It becomes easier, not easy necessarily, but easier to get the result. So any questions, by all means, file them below. And what next? Well, for me, I'm constantly refining and finding out more information. So if this is something you're interested in, let me know below. And I might create another page where I'll just put everything on there, and only those of you that are interested in finding out about it, I'll let you know, so that I'm not bombarding everyone with this, because it may not be something you're interested in. So leave me a comment, let me know what you think. This is Colin Hiles, aka The Mindset Guy. See you on the next video.